But I agree with the point that the point you're making is profound, that you can't ignore a man's ego.
They
And
can't.
I think that is where a lot of women lose out. And I say
Mm-hmm.
this all the time, women don't understand the power they have. And a lot of the times women complicate relationships because of their unwillingness to humble themselves and accept certain realities.
Right.
It is so easy, Kim. I can tell you, it is so easy to keep most men satisfied. It is ridiculously easy
It is
because
true.
their ego is so important to them. And the women have such an important role in validating men. That's why men do all manner of dangerous things, and because they're really trying to get your attention. They do,
It's
you can't
true.
tell me say, "I want to jump off a cliff in can't swim." But it means a lot to him to know that you think of him as being brave
Babe.
and fearless. It means a lot,
Mm-hmm.
and you may feel it, but you see, until you say it,
Yeah, he
and not
doesn't
just
know.
say it to him, but say it around other people,
Right.
it don't mean a
No,
thing.
it
You
is
can feel.
true because as I was in the accident the other day, and I was saying to him, I don't remember what he did. Oh, he did that. He went to the paymaster for me yesterday, and I really appreciated it. It was random. I was at home worried about how I'm going to pay this insurance, and
Right.
he just did it without me having to ask. And we can't take it for granted. Like, even my husband is supposed to do that, but I actually said to him, "Thank you. I really appreciate you. You've been so supportive to me during this time, and I really appreciate it." And he felt so good. He was like, "Oh my gosh, I
Mm-hmm.
feel so good that you're saying that." And sometimes we take the kindness of your husband for granted because you're like, "Oh, it's my husband. I'm supposed to be kind. I'm supposed to do this." But it not gonna kill you for your tongues. It not gonna kill you for appreciate it. Like, it takes nothing out of you to just be like, "Thank you. I appreciate
It
you."
really doesn't. And when it comes to things like expressing gratitude, it's for both sides. Both sides feel the same way about it. And
Exactly. And you
verbalizing
want to
is
hear it
important.
too. You
You
want
want to
to
hear
hear
it
it.
as a woman, yeah.
When
But when it,
him cook, you want to hear the food tastes really good in a babe. You want.
yeah, no, but Kim, if my wife cooks and I eat, she will say, "Leroy, eating too much. I eat and go back for more." And she said, "Eat too much, right? Don't eat, you overeating." But if I don't finish eating the food, and I will leave it
Yeah.
down, I mean, in one time I remember like putting the rest of it in the fridge and say, "Okay, I have some."
Oh
And then
God.
and she's like, "What? What happened? You don't like it?" And I'm saying,
That's
"Babes,
exactly
it's fine. I just, you know, but
like me.
yeah, 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 because you want, and all of us have that innate desire to be validated and appreciated. And part of the reason why our partners become our partners is because they complete something in us. So I'll
Mm-hmm.
give you, I'll give you an example, and then I'll go back to the point I was making about men is that I remember when we just got married and probably a couple of years into the marriage, I think of certain things like very romantic, So I'm saying, okay, breakfast in bed. So I get up on a Sunday morning and I say,
Ooh.
okay, I'm going to make my wife, breakfast, and I get up and make a steam fish and thing. I go buy the fish from Saturday and steam fish and all of these
Mm.
things. And, she wake up and then here I'm delivering it, and I'm thinking, yeah, I'm the greatest, I'm doing the best husband possible. Ah, she
Wait, the
get up
steam
and
fish at
she's
the bed.
like, well, that's the problem. You see, that's the kind of thing that women think about now. So I deliver now my
The bed
best
raw. The gravy at the.
performance, and she's like, it's kind of heavy, man. I really like heavy food in the morning, and you know, probably. So I said, what? So hold on there. Me get up and make, I had tell me what, crackers and cheese, me what. And I'm pissed.
Pancakes.
And I'm telling you, Kim, I will tell you this. We've been married
You've
for
never
15
made
years, and
breakfast
she
in bed again.
never, no, I have made breakfast in bed again, but it's never been no fantastic thing. I mean? The closest it has gotten to anything great is probably like an omelet or something, because I'm like, okay, if you don't appreciate the effort that I put into this thing, you know, and even now for me it's a joke. I'm not upset. It's
Mm-hmm.
funny now. But the
Mm-hmm.
point I'm trying to make is that the validation is so important. And no matter what
It is.
anybody says, no matter how strong they are, no matter how you feel that they're winning in every aspect of their life and they're successful, they still need it. And no
It
matter
still
what
need it
whatever the world tells them, there's a difference when
from what
you
that.
as the person tells
Right.
them. You get what I'm saying? If I go out there and I give a talk,
Exactly.
go
You
ahead.
want your wife to tell you did good.
Yeah, it don't matter who tell me say, oh yeah, you did a good sermon or you did a good talk or whatever.
You have to hear it from
I'm
her.
most yeah, I'm most nervous. The most nervous I've been speaking at a conference was when my wife was in attendance. I mean, I talk all the time, different academic forum, hundreds of people, this whatever, and I'm fine. I remember one, I can't remember which conference it was, and she was in attendance, and I'm like, actually feel very nervous.
Nervous.
You know,
It is true.
you see.
It's
So
true. It's the same thing why I don't like when they tell you don't tell your kids good job. Like I can't get behind that type of parenting. They're like, oh, don't tell them good job because then you set them out to be people pleasers and they can't validate themselves. And it's garbage. Because if Kai does something and I don't say it's a good job, she really truly believe that it wasn't a good job.
yeah,
And I always like I do tell her good job and I do tell her I'm proud of her, but I do also tell her that how do you feel about it? Are you proud of yourself? Because I'm still trying to help her to validate herself. But the truth is, as human beings, we need validation. And at this point, the parent is the one who validates you. When you're married, it's your husband. But you seek your parents' validation. Even as a grown person, you seek your parents' validation. So I cannot see
mhm.
why you would deprive a child of that. And I'm sure in a few years you're going to hear the reverse of this. You're going to hear, oh, these kids are like this now because their parents did not validate them.
No, it's important. And then, if we go back to this conversation where we started with men, a lot of the times infidelity, relational problems is as simple. The fix is just as simple as, honey, oh, you did a good job. Oh, I'm proud of you. I think you're a good man. I think, I really appreciate the fact that you work and you try and provide for the family. I really
Mm-hmm.
appreciate the fact that you come home at night and you're not out there. You know,
Right.
it's simple about reinforcing the character traits that you want. And you don't understand the power of that.
And not nagging.
Right. Yeah, right. That's the point. So the power is so great. So like for so something as simple as give it this. And I won't tell her, So I my wife will go supermarket and come home and park the car and taking the stuff out of the car and she's and like, we have 10 bags and we take up 10 of them, five in a one and a five in a one. And she can manage it. I'm saying, yeah, man, let me we can manage it. And, oh, he's so strong, he's strong, And I'm going on like, yeah, matter, man. but
Yeah, die.
but the truth is, the truth is, if there was an 11th bag, I would try and pick it up too, because
Mm-hmm.
somehow it taps into something that is innate, and the male
Mm-hmm.
ego, it taps into it, and the Lord created us with it, and that's why He said, He create a helpmeet, and women have so much power in terms of how relationships go. They don't understand, so but I think we're in a culture where many women see doing things like that, appreciating them and elevating them, building them up is seen as something negative. You're being
Yeah.
submissive. You're being this,
But
and
I think innately women want to submit. I feel good when my husband does something and I don't have to think about it. I'm like, oh, I don't have to
mm-hmm,
think about anything. I'm like, I can just be here and just be his woman. Just be
mm-hmm,
cute and pretty and, just be his woman or do something for him. And I don't have to think about, like, if he plans something and I really just have to show up cute. Like, it feels good. Even like, babe, just put on your clothes and come on. And it feels good. It doesn't feel like you're bossing me around or something ugly or it feels good. But the problem is that the men who are out there shouting about submission, they don't really have much to offer you or any reason for you to want to submit.
right.
They're not leading you down a path where you want to go or you want your family to go. So you're like, hold up, submit,
Submit,
submit to what?
submit to what? Wow, that's
So I think
powerful.
that is the problem. I don't think the problem is submitting. I think men think we don't want to submit, but the truth is, they aren't giving us anything to submit to, and that is the true problem. I mean, every now and again, they probably hit the nail on the head, but most times they're so far off. They're not leading a family. They're not there with their children doing the fatherly roles that they're supposed to do. They're just not present. You have men who they're not even there with their kids that come home and they want bars up like, sir, do you even live there? Like, it is hard for women to submit to that. How you gonna submit to a man when he doesn't spend any time with his kids? He barely providing. Him looking for you 50. Him need if you don't have 50% of your income, the house can't run none at all. Even if you have extras, him still want your 50. Like it's not like say I help out because oh it's not here and he just helping out the cars. Like him budget around your 50. And if your 50 don't come in, problems to the house like that. Nobody not gonna want to submit to that.
Yeah, I think that's interesting when you make the point that, about men not creating something to follow or to submit to. When we talk about leadership, and I had this conversation with a friend of mine recently, and complaining that women nowadays don't want to submit to their husbands and thing. And I think what you're saying is so true. What do you understand being the head to be? What does head mean to you? Because people
Mm-hmm.
talk, and men, it's funny, men who don't believe, don't follow the Bible in any other way. When it
Why you
comes to
submit?
relationship, all
Oh,
of them talk about the God said the man is the head of the house. I mean, yeah, God
nothing
also
else
said he
in the
must have
Bible.
one wife. So explain to you he must be faithful, and if it tells you all the other things apart from that. But the point is, what does that head mean? Because when you read the scripture, and look at Ephesians chapter 5, for example, where the submission argument comes up. We forget that the Bible says also, Paul said to them that a man should love his wife even as his own flesh, cherished her, as Christ loved the church and gave himself for the church.
Mm-hmm.
So now, are you at the place as a man where you have made up your mind that, listen, I'm going to love and cherish this woman. I would take care of myself and would be
Right.
willing to die for her. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that comes before the submission. That is what
Permission.
Paul says. Paul says that you love your wife and as your own flesh, as Christ loved the church and gave himself. And then he goes on to say, woman, submit yourself, your husband, yourself, submit yourself unto your husband.
Because a man who is doing that is very easy to submit to.
And that's what people don't
Very
understand.
easy.
That's what they miss because, if you have a man who's coming out and grinding and doing everything that is going to be required to satisfy and supply your needs and take care of you, and he's going to willing to step in front of a gun or a moving vehicle for you and do whatever, then something is wrong with you if you don't want to submit to that
Something
kind of person,
wrong.
you know.
That is true.
So
And
that's one point.
I also find that a lot of men they don't have any direction. So they're leaders and they have no direction. Like them no know them plans for the future. And if you're a woman who know exactly where you want to go and you're with a man who could have done that, yes. How you going to submit to that? There's no leadership
Yeah,
in that. Like, where you will lead me to? Like,
I
where you
like
going to
that.
lead me to?
I like that point because what you're saying is that, and how I'd use it is, if we're going to look at the body, the scriptures, oftentimes Paul himself uses the example of the body to explain a lot of things in scripture.
Mm-hmm.
When you talk about the head is a seat of
Mm-hmm.
consciousness. All right,
Mm-hmm.
you have many members, but all of them look to the head. When you think about your head, the brain, and all that is involved there, it is what absorbs information from the world and puts everything else in its rightful place
Mm-hmm.
for the body to function.
Right.
Okay, so your head sees, interprets information, and make sure. Okay, look there, something a drop. Move your foot out of the way. You understand? Put your hand there. So the head makes sure that everything else is functioning and protects everything, even though it may not necessarily be doing everything itself, but it has that
Right.
responsibility. And so I get so what you're saying now is that if you're the head of the house, how are you securing the well-being
Of the family.
of the family? How are you making sure that something not dropping on our toe, that
Mm-hmm.
we're not getting hit by a car, that we actually are nourished and fed, and put on no
Right.
clothes, and we now walk up and down on the street naked? How are you get
Making
what I'm
sure that
saying? And so now, whenever you have a head that is not functioning, whether a stroke or something happen that impairs the function, guess what happens? The limbs don't work how they're supposed to work.
right.
And a lot of the times, the reason we see problems in the home, in relationships, women may not be doing, men say, oh, they not do what they want to do. Probably because the head isn't good. The head not, there's a problem with how it's functioning. And if you're not functioning, then that explains why things are not the way they ought to be.
Like I think I need some husband series. It's a husband series. Like, that's a church. You don't offer that at church. Some
We do,
series.
we have what we have is couples retreats, but what probably we need to do some.
Man, you need like husband boot camp, you know? So they
Yeah,
can
that's a good idea.
understand. Because I really don't think men understand what is required of them. And I think a lot of times, I don't like blaming mothers. I don't. But growing up, I was my mother's first child, and I was the only child for about 10 years before my brother came along. And the expectations that my mother had of me, she didn't have that from my brother. Like, I was trained to be so independent. Like, when I went to college, my parents didn't know nothing. I applied for my own student loan, my find my own guarantor, my work, my do everything. My brother going to college. Mommy, the other day my mommy called me and said, "Oh, my brother never signed up for the payment plan and I have to go to you." I said, "What you mean? Make him figure it out." Like, it don't make any sense to me because when I was growing up, I was going to college. One day I had to message my mother and like, "Mommy, I know you're not paying for anything for me now, but you can at least ask me how I'm doing, you know? You can at least ask me how I manage." Like, I was really upset with my parents because everybody else's parents check in. And then I feel like my parents didn't check in. But then to see how she grew her son, it was completely different. So I can imagine him as a husband needing a woman to lead him because that's exactly what his mother did. And
Mm.
the responsibility that girls have from a young age, boys just don't have that level of responsibility. They just don't. So you start your girls off from a very young age to be independent because I guess from back in the days, women who weren't independent would probably end up, being abused by men. So they probably grew the daughter so that they wouldn't end up in that kind of fate. I don't know where it comes from. I'm just speculating here. But women are little young girls are designed to be independent so that they don't have to fall to the mercy of men. But men are allowed, little boys are allowed to be children, and boys will be boys and enjoy their childhood, and they get a lot of time to grow up. While as girls, we're forced to grow up very young. So then now, when we're looking for a partner, they seem very immature. They're just not there yet, and you don't have the time to wait for them to catch up. You don't. You're like, that's gonna slow me though. That's gonna slow my future though. If I have to wait on you to get where I am because I was sent out in the world from a very young age to get it and to figure it out on my own. So that's one of the problems that I find, and it's unfortunate.
Well, I think that's true because I think upbringing invariably is going to influence our behavior as adults. I think some of the issues come from one single parent homes settings, which
Mm-hmm.
is becoming more and more common.
And you feel bad blaming the single mom, but it's the truth though. It's not their fault, but it's the truth.
I don't know if what we're saying is blaming. I think it's a reality that
Mm-hmm.
women make different parents from men, and men make different parents from women. And it's not
Right.
an indictment of either one, it's just
The
instinctively
reality.
we're designed that way. So, like, I was fortunate to grow up in a home where my parents were married. I was born into that. So I have always had the opportunity of having both parents. But I can
Mm-hmm.
tell you, the approach into parenting was different.
Apples and oranges.
So yeah, so my mother was always the one that was kind of more present, more involved. She's the one that gets upset emotional very easily, but at the same time, she's the one that's nurturing.
Mm-hmm.
So but then my father now was more the stable one,
Mm-hmm.
the consistent one, the one where we check him Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's the same. You
Mm-hmm.
know exactly what you're gonna get. One of the things that with him was that let me give you an example of how you'd see how the parenting is different. I would go to school. Let's say I go to school and I had some hard exam or something that was rough and I was struggling with it, and I go to mother and thing, and mother said, "Why so why them trouble and how and we'd have a long conversation
Mm-hmm.
about what is happening and why I feel like there's injustice and why things
Mm-hmm.
aren't fair and so forth. I take the same situation and go to my father, and the conversation is over in 10 seconds because he's gonna stop. He's gonna look at me and he says, "All right, listen, son. What men have done, men will do," and that's it.
Jesus.
That's the conversation.
I
You
don't know
know.
what that means.
Well, guess what? I've heard it so many times I had to figure out what it means. You know, But that's the conversation, you know. And at the time, I just found it to be so annoying. I found it like, you know, I wanted to empathize with me. I wanted to be able to, feel what I'm feeling and be on my side. But as when I've grown into a man now, I've appreciated that. Because what he's saying is that, listen, stop making excuses. The world does not wait for you to make excuses. The world does not applaud excuses. The world applauds results.
Right, that's true. Don't even
Nobody is
doesn't
going
care
to
about the
care. Huh?
process. Doesn't care about the process, you know.
Yeah. People applaud results. People not looking, you're baking a cake and you're up all night and you spend the whole time up, make this and put this with soak and that, women will go into all of that. But guess what? At the end of the day, what the world is going to ask of you is how good is the cake? It tastes
Tastes
good
good.
or not.
It
They
pretty.
don't
Look
care.
good.
You could tell the whole night. If it don't taste good, it does not. You see, so what that does, it kind of builds a sense of a more tenacious resilience type of personality. The type of personality that's not easily offended, that doesn't quit. The type of personality that shows up day after day and doesn't call in sick every few days because you feel depressed or you feel down. But you're
Mm-hmm.
showing up to work day after day, results oriented personality. That's what it builds. And unfortunately, it is not that women do not want that for their boys, but their instinct as
Like,
a mother
but why
is to
not the same
nurture.
thing with the girls? That is the
Well, the
problem.
truth is, no, and I'll tell you why. It is the same to a point. I'll tell you what happens. What happens with the girls is that you end up trying to live vicariously through them. So
Mm,
because you see them as you start to say, well, listen, I don't want to happen to you what happened to me. I don't want you to want to happen to you what I've seen happen to other women. And
mm,
each woman has come to a conclusion in her mind as to how the world works.
mm-hmm.
And based on the conclusion, that is how she's going to raise her daughter. So, for example, you have one woman who realizes that, she has been and she has seen women abused and taken advantage of because they were dependent on men. So she develops a resilience. She overcomes and she decides that, listen, I don't want my daughter to depend on no man. So she's going to raise her daughter to be aggressive, to be the type of woman that don't need nothing from the man. You don't depend upon the
Mm-hmm.
man. Go get your own, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And that's one subset of women. You have another subset of
Yeah.
women
But
who you have less and less of them, but their mentality is, well, a man must
yeah.
mind you.
Pretty her up. Make sure
Sorry?
she can. You pretty her up.
Yeah.
Make sure she dress nice. Fix up her hair so she can catch the man.
And so she raised her daughter like that. The baby doll thing, make sure she smile even when she don't want to smile. She know how to do whatever it is to attract. So a lot of the times, parenting comes from your own experience. And it is it comes, your flavor, because every parent has a flavor. The flavor is going to take into consideration who you are, whether female or male,
Mm-hmm.
what your background is, and so forth. But at the core, we can't deny the fact that whether a mother or father, that is going to change the flavor.
That's true.
That's going to change the flavor. And I think what we have done, what has happened in society, is that we have somehow put our woman in an unfair position
Mm-hmm.
where a woman is trying to be something that she is not.
And to be the
And no
mother.
matter how, and the mother and the father. And I don't think it's fair to expect her to be able to do that.
It isn't, and I don't even know. There's no quick fix to that. It's just to value family and to understand the importance of both the roles of both parents. And where you don't have it, because if you're a single mom, most of the times it's not your choice. It was the intention to be a single mom, but to try to get that father figure for the child. I mean, wherever you can get it, if it's at the church from a pastor or elder or deacon, from an uncle, from somebody, just ensuring that they have that relation with, especially if a boy, making sure that they have that relationship with a father figure, because it does affect them. It affects how they grow up and the type of person that they'll be.
It's sad because that's where now you get into this situation where there is no head. Because you have men who, as you said, are accustomed to being led by women. They're accustomed to women solving their problems. If something happen
Mm-hmm.
at school, you call your mother come and she cuss off the teacher, she cuss off the boy, we fight. That is, so they're accustomed to their problems being solved by a woman. I'm gonna tell my mother, and your mother does whatever. When I go to school and somebody come and say them are gonna fight me or whatever. If I tell my mother, it's a different reaction if I tell my father. She like, my boy, me don't want him to chop my son. My father is like, what? So
So what you
you
do?
know,
You
you know,
don't box, you
because
fight back.
and even though him know tell me directly say, yo, do your thing. You have to learn. You're gonna have to, because the world, Kim, is a cold place.
Cold.
You see? It's a
Like the
cold
word
place.
you know, it's I get that we want men to have more feelings and to express their feelings. We don't want them to hide their feelings. And that's why you need the balance. You need the balance of having the mother that they can talk to and help them through it, but also the father who can say, hey, the reality is this. The
Hmm.
world isn't going to stop and pet you and baby and wait for you to get up and brush off. And the world keeps going no matter what is happening. The world does not stop for a second. So it's important. Mothers are important and they have their place, of course. They're nurturing and they allow you to express yourself and they allow you to be vulnerable, right? But then you have your father who is, yeah, son, I say, going on. Yeah.
It's the
Well, your father,
reality.
men will do what men have done.
What men have done, men will do. And what he meant by that. What he meant by that is that for every obstacle that you're dealing with, somebody has overcome it already.
Right.
And if somebody has done it already,
You can do it too.
then you can do it.
Mm,
You get what I'm saying? The only excuse you have is that if you can't run 9.58 seconds in 100 meters, because only one man has ever done that, and,
person.
but whatever it is that somebody else has done already, you can do it. You
Mm.
see? So don't stop making excuses. Figure out how you're going to get it done. That's what you need to do. So he could have given me a half an hour speech. One statement, what men have done, men will do. What do you mean by that?
And it
I mean, I
makes
look
sure
on
you
him.
figure it out on your own.
Yeah.
Again,
You know,
because that's what life is. That is what
but you know
life
what's
is.
funny? I'll tell you what's funny, Kim. And people will say, and it sounds hard, but men need that. And
Yeah.
if it's not provided for them, they're gonna find it. That's the reason why you say our boys running into gangs. Why they get into sports and they thrive in sports. They thrive in the military. They thrive in the police force. They thrive in these areas where it's not soft. It's rough. You got to figure it out. And sometimes, unfortunately, because they need that. They need, as men, that kind of, because we are designed,
And people want to ignore biology. That's what don't make no sense to me. Like,
you know.
we're not the same. The makeup is
You know.
different.
Yeah, it's not the same. And your woman get wonder, how can I love my son and raise him and do everything for him? And then now when him all of a sudden him get to teenage years and he's hanging out with this crowd of boys, him not listen to what me and say him out of control, you can't understand why. It's because innately he has to get that. And if he doesn't get it, if he doesn't
Yeah.
have somebody to hold him accountable, if he doesn't have somebody to say, listen, who hold him responsible for what he's doing and his actions, he's going to find somebody. And unfortunately, because the men are missing from the homes, the boys look for it in the streets. And that's what's happening in our society. If you can't find a man in the home, he's going to find a man in the streets. And I'll tell you the truth, it's not just the men, it's also the girls, but it's in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? Because what tends to happen is,
The father's love. For the women, it's the father's love that they crave.
yes, yes, the security, of having a father, just have somebody, a protector, a provider. And when that
Mm-hmm.
is not there, they're going to find it. And that's the reason why, women, you see women in all of these relationships. Why would they get involved with a man and him is a gunman or him is a gang man or a gangster? He's the bad man, I'm not with you. Because something inside of her is looking for that protector, that provider. And when you're dealing with persons with those character traits, they come across with a certain level of confidence. And if a
Mm-hmm.
woman is not schooled to understand the difference between being responsible, being strong, and having bravado, she will mistake bravado for strength.
Right.
And so when she sees a man out there and him loud and him or he's abusive or he's a risk taker, she sees that as strength
Yeah.
because she's programmed and wired for that. Well, remember back in the old days, when the man them would go to hunt, the woman would stay home, the men would have to go out to hunt and they'll fight and they'll protect. So a woman is going to look for instinctively a man who has the capacity to do
Those.
those things. You see?
Yeah.
So when she sees a man out there and him, bad boy, if she has never been taught at the home to realize that what true strength is, she's going to see that. And when the
Yeah. I
man
mean
put
that.
him hand upon her and beat her, and yes, she might feel the pain and she might be upset about being abused, but guess what? He's strong.
Yeah. I mean, there's a song literally called "She Love Gunman." Like that's the song. That's the
Mm-hmm.
name. And that makes sense to me because I grew up with a father. My father. I spent more time with my father than my mother growing up. So I had that, I definitely had that. And that's probably why I am like I am the way I am because my father, I never have the mother. Oh, then my father was literally like, if you're not independent, man, I gonna beat you. And that's literally what he said all the time. Like, and whenever, because I was a feisty child growing up, I was very feisty. So my father used to tell me, say, you see, any oh you find a husband, oh you feisty, it must beat you. So I'm like, man, I need the husband. But I was feisty, and I was feisty like a mouthy little girl. So he always tell me that to say, yeah, man, I gonna beat you. Yeah. So I'm like, you feel like you need to be independent. But
Yeah, it's complex, and I think a lot of our going in society is just when relationships fall apart. I know the conversation started with us
we
talking about relationships and how what things that people can do to hold them together. But when relationships fall apart, it creates this domino effect that
yeah,
goes on for generations and generations. And that's the reason why we have to work so hard to preserve the relationships, that we have to value them. We have to pray for our partners. We have to try and do whatever we can do to hold them together because it's not really just about us, it's about the people we impact.
truly. And I think it starts from getting into the relationship. And that's why there are things you need to know before pregnancy. Because
Mm-hmm.
before you get in this relationship with that person, is this person someone who can raise my child with? Is this
Mm-hmm.
one who, even if the relationship don't last, because that can happen too, is this someone who is mature enough for us to put our differences aside and co-parent? Who is this person, knowing all of that before deciding that, hey, I want to carry on, have this man's seed. It is more than just being a baby mother or just having a child because they're cute and it's trending on Instagram. It's more than a box to tick. It's a life that you're responsible for. And I always say the worst thing that could happen to me is to have somebody bring a child into this world who will add more pain and suffering to the world. Like as a
Mm-hmm.
mother, I would deal with having a child who turn a gunman or abuse women or
Mm-hmm.
it would just pain my heart to know that even if it's not directly my fault, it would still hurt. So before you even go there, your partner is very important. Your psychological well being is also important because you have a child now, you couldn't manage it and now you check out. And this child is basically raising themselves. So
Yeah,
think about because as you say, it's a domino effect.
it's funny because I find that, I mean, naturally, most people don't go through the process of thinking about these things before, having a child. It says over 66%, and the statistics say that, but it is more of pregnancies are unplanned. you know,
Mhm.
it just happened. It's just, oops, I did it again. It was a
Britney
Britney
Spears.
Spears, right? So, it happens. But the point that you're making is recognizing that children, are really our gift to the world. It is what we will leave, part of the legacy we leave for the world. And
Truly.
if we view it that way, then it means that our motivation is should be to ensure that we're leaving the world a better place than it
Ex-
was when we came.
Exactly.
And
Mm-hmm.
therefore our investment is going to be towards making sure that this child is the best that he or she can be. And that starts before the child is born by creating the framework. If you look at scripture, for example, and how God created the world, man was made on the sixth day, according to scripture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you notice, by the time man was made, the whole
Everything
world
was
and everything that he needed was there.
exactly,
You know,
exactly, and that's why I can't understand when people, because you're married, that's the first step. They're like, "Oh,
yeah.
where's the baby? Oh, you're married all long now. Where's the baby?"
Yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah,
I'm at day two. I'm still
yeah.
making,
Therefore,
I'm still
yeah.
making the plant, the water with the fish and the sea creatures. I'm gonna reach a day six yet. Leave me alone.
Yeah, it's so important because it's for the child coming into an environment of stability, of provision, of security, of safety, safety, security, stability are key ingredients to growth, you see? Because if that's not there, then you create an unstable child because
Right.
a child is coming in an insecure, unsafe, and unstable environment. Then
Exactly.
you create a child who is unstable, who feels unsafe, and who oftentimes develops being insecure. And I will tell you that the majority of problems that you're seeing from persons, adults in the world, come because of one of those three things, or all three.
Truly.
They're unstable. You can't depend on them. You have some people, you see them, they interview well, they look like, oh, the perfect employee, you get them the job, it's problems. After two
Problem.
months, you can't find them. So you have unstable people. Then you have the insecurity, the people who, no matter if something that's not right, their minds, they're always seeking for
Mm-hmm.
something, some fulfillment. You know, people throwing away marriages that are perfectly good marriages
Exactly.
because for simple things, because they're not secure, they're not satisfied, they're incomplete. And then you have people who are unsafe and who feel unsafe, and there's anxiety, they're dealing with fear. So a lot of these things, and while I'm speaking spiritual, it sounds I'm speaking spiritual, but I'm actually speaking psychological. Of course there's a link, but I'm also speaking biological
Mm-hmm.
because
It's
more
a
and more the
basic need.
research, yeah, the research is showing. I mean, there's Barker's hypothesis, which speaks of the origins of fetal origins of adult disease, and the
Mm-hmm.
fact that much of what we deal with as adults is coming from even before we're born in the womb. The
Right.
environment that we're nurtured in, that we're coming to as a child, as a newborn, already
Starts
begins
to
to
shape.
instruct our genes to determine how we're going to turn out as adults. Can you imagine that your hypertension, your anxiety disorder, your depression, your migraines
It's going on to your portico baby
was
DNA.
was triggered first of all from before you were born or while you were a baby, based on what you're exposed to? And conversely, as parents, understanding that what is happening with our children was triggered by our behavior when they
That's
couldn't even
right.
talk. You
And that's
see? So
exactly why you have to prepare.
that's why
It's
you have to
like
prepare.
people take it for granted that because it can come by. So for some persons, pregnancy happens so easy. Like you just have
Mm-hmm.
fun and boops, baby come. So because it happens so easy, you just feel like, oh, it's a no brainer. And people have baby from the beginning of time. Anytime you breed, you just breed. But no, you're learning so much more now, and that's why we evolve as people. We learn and we adapt, and we take what we learn and we do better for the next generation. We don't just say, oh, people have baby, but they just breed and have baby, grow up, and I just alive,
Right.
gone as a life, I go go. You don't know, so you know better, you do better.
Yeah, it's very important that proper, so I think our discussions on this is something that we can is good. And when you think about relationships, as I was telling you before, I've seen it time and time again how many relationships are destroyed by having a baby.
Oh yes.
Good relationships,
No matter how
strong
much you want the
relationships.
baby, how much you
Yeah,
want, and if you don't want, and spend millions and get the baby.
yeah, yeah.
I've
Good
yet got
relationships.
through how much rounds, baby born bloops, marriage
Yeah,
done.
problems because you may have been ready socially, may have been ready emotionally, probably not ready psychologically, or one of the
Mm.
other factors. or you may have been financially able to achieve the pregnancy,
But then you're not financially able to sustain the child.
sustain. Yeah. So now, all of a sudden now, all of this money before that we used to use to go out on dates and travel, because we love traveling. So we can post on our Instagram page and go out to nice restaurants and go to the hotels, is now sucked into this vacuum.
Oh God, kids. Can I tell them
You
what that
know,
vacuum
so
is? A vacuum in there? The suction. Oh God.
yeah, you can't see where it's going. You know, well, you can see some of it
You
going in
can't see, but you're
in
like,
the
my gosh, man.
so all of a sudden, now the kind of things that used to help you to blow off steam.
You
So
don't
you used to
have
blow
that
off
anymore.
steam. You know, every now and then we used to go to the hotel and we make up and we have some good makeup sex and we have some good
Alone
experiences
time.
and alone time and was great. No, you don't have that
What
because
is alone time? When you have a child, you can't even go to the bathroom by yourself.
yeah,
I never go to the bathroom by myself till Kyle was probably two and a half.
all
She
right,
creep in the bathroom to with me.
right. Can you imagine? Yeah. So it's disruptive
Yes,
and
you don't have privacy. You don't have individuality. It is a lot.
yeah, and it's not just about whether or not the man is a good man or the woman is a good man. Good people, good relationships
Buckle under pressure.
go bad under the pressure of children because
True.
every time you add a weight, it's like a building. Every time you put
Mm-hmm.
on another floor, you have to make sure that the foundation, the structure is strong enough to maintain the new weight.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Otherwise, it will collapse under the weight of its own success. I've seen relationships, I mean, colleagues, pastors, where people, good people, they mean well, but now something come in and all of a sudden, before I used to spend, that Saturday is the day I prepare my sermon, and Saturday is the day when I spend the time to research and blah blah blah. And the wife is saying, "Well, I need help
Mm.
because you work 5 days a week. I'm have to be able to leave with the baby, and Saturday is the only day I get any time for myself. So you're gonna do something."
Yeah,
But this is
that is true.
and yeah, I
So,
mean, yes, I'm not like I'm going to a go club. I'm studying the word of God. I'm doing something good.
but who is your
I need time. You get what I'm saying? So here's now this draw. And are you prepared for that? And I would say to you that the majority of people get in and are
and they
not
don't have no
prepared.
idea. They have a
Yeah.
clue what going to happen. You lit them for six. Like
Lead them for
I can
six.
say when I had my daughter, I was not ready. And that alone, just because I'm a very logical being. So me no say from me not ready. So from that alone was enough anxiety for me. But then when I actually had her, what I did not expect was the identity crisis. Like
Mm,
I couldn't identify with myself anymore. And that was the biggest issue I faced being a new mom. I just did not feel like myself. I lost all sense of identity. And for a
mm,
good while, I didn't even, it's like in this weird place where you just don't know where you are. You don't understand where you are. You feel like all your goals, what are your goals? You feel like all your goals on the back burner, and now everything revolves around this child. And you're not Kim anymore, you're mom. And what does mom mean? And
mm,
I went through this process for a while where it was scary for me. So when I was getting married now, I had a lot of anxiety because I'm like, no, 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 no. One more identity crisis. I got add a new identity to me now. Because I just figured out mom and they're going to add wife. And I remember I had to say to the pastor, I'm like, I don't know how much feel because now I'm adding a new identity. And as a woman, the roles are so paramount that when you add them to us, it's like because of how society places so much emphasis on what a mother should be or what a wife should be, the roles, it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. You're not just living your life as Kimberly. Know your mom, know your
mm,
wife. If my daughter go on the road and I hear pull up, nobody not gonna say, "Oh, I hear pull up." They might say, "Where the mother? Where mother?
mm,
There? She's not a mother."
mm,
You know,
mm,
like everybody's looking to you for everything about that child, and it's a lot of pressure. And a lot of women don't know this until you're in the role, because I certainly didn't think about it like that. And what happened is that for years, me and my mother we had issues because I couldn't understand her I didn't understand what
Mm-hmm.
she went through, but being that my mom basically had me at a similar age to at the age I had Kai, I could understand the crisis that she was going through when she was
Mm-hmm.
growing me. And we could relate more, and I could understand things that I couldn't understand before. And I think women need to understand that it is an identity switch. It's not
Yeah.
just you're a mother, it's a literal identity switch that you'll have to go through, and mentally it can take a toll. I think that has a lot to do with postpartum blues. I wish there would more study on that, but I think it has a lot to do with the postpartum blues.
Yeah, that's interesting because you're saying all of a sudden there's an identity crisis. And there are a couple of things I'm going to get into, but I like that view on it because the identity crisis all of a sudden, and it's a switch. It's not like you
To
had time. It's like
no,
yesterday you were Kim, and then today, who are
your mother.
you? Because here's what I've realized. Once the baby comes, everybody's attention is on the baby. So you don't mind it, because it's your baby and you love the fact that, people appreciate that and they love the baby and whatever. But it's like, all right, so I'm an obstetrician. And when I go to do a delivery, all right, particularly if it's like a cesarean section. So most of the time, in a private setting or the hospitals I work at and the one I work at now, we allow the fathers to come in and be a part of the delivery process, right? And one of the things is that as soon as so the father is there with the mother while we're going this doing within a surgery, or if it's a C-section within a surgery, for example. Then we get the baby out and everybody is excited. Everybody's rejoicing. Mommy is rejoicing. And, everybody's happy. And the baby goes over and daddy goes to look at the baby. Most times when the baby is born, the father makes a beeline to see the baby. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, our practice is that once the baby is born, the father goes with the baby.
Mm-hmm.
So now mommy is left and we're finishing up the surgery, or we're finishing up cleaning her up, or after the delivery, or if there's something to repair or something. And it actually, to me, is quite symbolic of really what happens to you in
Yep.
life. Because what happens now is that life is no longer about you.
Because everybody was pampering you for 9 months,
Yeah. For nine
Everybody's
months,
at
you
your
have
hands
all the
and your
attention.
feet for 9 months.
Yes. Rubbing your
Baby born
feet,
and
rubbing your
nobody not
butt.
care about you no more.
All of a sudden, grandma is worried about the baby. You know, think, do you hold the baby right? Hold it, watch the baby head. Let me come over, let me help. Daddy's baby. All your friends want to come over to see, not you,
The
to see the
baby.
baby. You get what I'm saying? When you go out, you go back to church or whatever, everybody's interested in the baby. And all of
If
these
you ever
things,
dare go out and you don't have the baby, where's the baby?
you leave the
You
young
leave
baby
the
and
baby.
gone out. Yeah. Even these guys, a friend of mine, as I told you, they wanted to go out for some time. They just had a baby. And, the husband wants us to go out on the talk and so forth. But the wife is still struggling
To leave the
with
baby.
leaving the baby at home because
Especially.
somehow she don't feel like you don't feel like a mother to know that. And you can't, you're trying to engage, but your mind is your mind is at home whenever everything is okay.
Yup.
So when you say identity crisis, I can really identify and empathize with women, and that is what happens for the rest of your life.
Everything you do, you feel guilt. Like, no, now I've learned how to streamline things. And I learned that I'm going to drop a few balls sometimes. And I just pick and choose which balls I'm willing to drop. So, like on Monday, it's Kai Sports Day. I've never missed a sports day. But the school sent home the calendar late, and I already have my patients booked. I'm missing my patients in a few weeks for a whole week, and I missed them last week. I have to drop that ball, and I have to be okay with it. And I know it
Right.
doesn't make me a bad mom. In the past, I'd be a complete wreck, thinking that, oh, mother's going to be a sports day. She's gonna have every other child gonna have the parent. She's not gonna have her parent. I'd be a complete wreck about it. No, I'm like, well, Kai, they didn't send them on the calendar. You know how my schedule works. It wasn't on my schedule. I can't do anything about it. It doesn't make you a bad mother. And you just have to give yourself grace. And as you go about it each day, you have to learn to give yourself grace, really. And you have to also understand that you had your life before that child. It's not fair
Mm-hmm.
to you, and it's not fair to the child to make your entire life about them. Because when that time comes when they're supposed to move on and you realize that you've made your entire life about them, you're stuck. You put that pressure on them to be your everything when they're just a child and they were just a child.
I like that word that you use about giving yourself grace, and I like the fact that you spoke about the fact that you can't. It's not good for you, and it's not good for the child, because I think
No,
sometimes people feel that, or
they
being,
sacrifice everything.
yeah, and the truth is, I don't think children come into the world asking you to do that.
They don't.
Um,
They love to see you accomplish. My daughter love to see me doing the things that I love to do and excelling. It gives her something to work towards too.
yeah, there you go. And and the question is, how much of what you're doing is for them anyway? Because, and I like the fact you said you're able to communicate that to her, because that's a part of them understanding how the world works. That the
Right.
world doesn't just stand in awe because you have to run in a little race at sports day. The
Exactly.
world keeps moving. It's like,
The world
when I
moving.
when I was growing up, I used to, when I was very younger, before I had, as I told you before, I've had my own health issues, fractured my hip and all this thing. But I used to be a good track athlete, and I was at the
Hmm.
national stadium all the time, running and thing. And I can't remember many times, if any, when my parents would have been there to see me
Hmm.
run. Because at that time, the events were all in the day. It's not like now they're doing them in the evening. It was all in the middle of the day. And they forgot to work. You get what
Exactly.
I'm saying? And, sometimes they might be able to get the time off and so, but they can't be there all the time.
Hmm.
And I'm not sitting there feeling like, oh, my whole life, my childhood was a wreck because the
Right.
parents weren't able to come and watch me run. Come on. The
Mhm.
reality of it is that they had to be winning in their race. You know what
Exactly.
I'm saying? And their race is a race of life, so that I have food on the table, that I have clothes
You're right.
on my back, that I can enjoy a certain quality of life. And what I think sometimes we do is that, as you say, don't give yourself enough grace. And we don't communicate that
To the
to our
children
children so that they develop an appreciation
for the
for the
things that we.
immense sacrifice that you are making for them. You
Hmm.
see? So when you come to watch them, it's not because you sit down and you don't have nothing to do. It is
I agree.
because you have had something has to give up for
Right.
me to be there. And and I think that is so important to their own development as well,
It is.
understanding a sense of responsibility. Yeah.
It is. It is. And that's what I have done time and again. I mean, my daughter know I can't make it to everything, but I ask her which one is more important for me to come to. And then when she tell me, I say, okay, well, I can't go to that one, but I'll come to this one. I make sure that she has some say in it. It's not just me just choosing the one that makes me feel good as a parent, but she
Right.
might decide that I want you to see me dance versus I want you to come to sports day. It's more important for you to see me dancing than for you to see me running. Then I make an effort to be at the dancing one, and I say, okay, I can't come to the sports day. So just having these kind of communications with them, understanding that, hey, if mommy miss work, mommy doesn't get paid, mommy doesn't get paid, all the things that you want, they cost money. Like, it can't work. And we underestimate how much our children understand. They understand. You just have to take the time to explain it to them and probably put it at a level that they can understand. Explain it to them where they are at. And you'd be surprised. She got over it. Actually, I'll call her grandma, ask her if her grandma can come sports day. Her grandma will go, and she understands. Mommy can't be there. Somebody else will be
And
there.
guess what happens? She's a part of, and I like how you did it, because she's a part of the decision making process, which is
Mhm.
helping her to understand responsibility as well. You're not going to be able to get everything in life. You get some things. You're able, no, let's choose which one are, because you're going to have to give up something. So
Yeah.
which one are you going to choose? And I
Yeah.
think that that's so profound. Let's talk a little bit about because we've gotten into the psychological, and there's so much more that we can talk about with the
Oh my.
psychological. I mean, because
Oh.
you're saying identity crisis. Then you also are dealing with the whole fact that your focus, everything is shifted, and you feel that that has a major role on postpartum blues, postpartum depression, which I think it does, and I see issues like postpartum depression and so becoming more and more of a problem, because especially when we live in a world that is so visual and so focused on people satisfying their own desires, we have to admit that we live in a very narcissistic society.
We do.
where each when they talk to people, we're all about me, me, me. That's why
Mm-hmm.
Instagram, what's social media, is such a big thing because it provides a platform for you to be seen.
Show off.
Yeah, pictures. You take a pictures, put it up on there so people can see me, 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 me. And majority, 99% of what is on social media is really about being seen, about me, satisfying my need for affirmation, my need for my insecurities, my need for somebody to like me and to tell me, I look good and
You
whatever. But the problem is parenting, and certainly pregnancy into parenting is 180 degrees from that if you think about it.
180
But
degrees.
but but guess what happens, Kim? Well, and I say it's 180 degrees because you just explained that once a baby is born, there's a switch. But guess what happens? Many people get into pregnancy with a narcissistic view and are using pregnancy as a means of also affirming their insecurities.
It's trendy.
It's trendy. So, oh,
Cute baby.
I'm going to,
Cute, cute belly. I'm gonna be glowing. Or pretty.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
get maternity shoot. Yeah.
Yes, yes,
I'm gonna have the gender reveal and the baby shower. Yeah, I'm gonna do the
yes,
gender reveal and destroy the environment to tell them that I'm having a girl who probably won't be identified as a girl. But anyways, you do all of that. You have a baby shower. You have a maternity shoot. It's a big affair. It's a fanfare.
yeah.
Woo!
So, can you imagine the letdown that comes after
When you realize
spending
that
nine
nobody
months
care about you.
and then all of a sudden, in a split instant, you move from being the center of attention, which you so crave, to now being just a bystander in somebody
Hmm.
else's show. You can
Hmm.
imagine the psychological impact that has on women. And that's why I believe postpartum
Dep-
depression, postpartum psychosis, these things are going to become increasingly prevalent.
It is. And then when you're not prepared for it, you're not prepared for all the changes that actually happen. And then when you realize how much that brand new shiny baby destroyed that body,
Mm-hmm.
when you
Mm-hmm.
see all the stretch marks
Oh
and the
my goodness.
coloration and the
Hold on.
husband not looking so pleased with the new body.
Yeah, exactly. That is also a big issue, because now all the things that made you that validated you as a woman have been compromised.
Not to mention the breast going so dark.
Oh
The good
no,
breast
no,
day
no, it's hilarious.
over.
That people, I mean, that's trending on Instagram, I'm sure. You know,
The good breast days are over.
so
Every
it's
chance I get to remind women not to waste the good breast years.
it's a major thing, Kim, and you have to, this is kind of where now relationships are stressed in many ways because on one hand you have the psychological issues that happens with a woman, the transition, and I'm not even talking yet about the hormonal impact because remember for 9 months your body is just flooded with all these hormones. Estrogen
Hmm.
levels are high, progesterone levels are high, your sympathetic nervous system's upregulated, so you're kind of functioning at a higher level, and then as soon as they deliver, those hormones fall and everything goes crashing down. So your whole biology, psychology that has been rewired for this pregnancy for 9 months,
You
all
just
of a
take it
sudden
back.
those wired, yeah. So that's one thing. So in addition to not being to losing some of your physical attributes, you don't feel as attractive anymore. You don't feel the feeling now is sometimes even more significant than the reality.
And then you're not remembering things. That's that mommy brain. You're struggling to remember. You get so frustrated by the little. You just can't remember. We just put something just a while ago because it's just not functioning at that level as you mentioned. So
Mm.
all of that combined, it's a lot.
You don't feel, and women come in, they don't feel sexy. Yeah, 6 weeks, and we have this thing, 6 weeks clinic. And all docs say, yeah, man, everything is good. You can get back to normal, and the man is there coming to the clinic. He said that, okay, you can start. Yeah, man, you can start back in the course, and everything is good. Heal up, good to go. But in reality, the woman, she's still recovering. Yes, the vagina might have healed, appeared to be healed, but psychologically, she don't feel attractive.
Right?
The sensation of sexual intercourse may not be the same, you know. And a lot of the times men don't really get that because, and I see it all the time. It's
Too
not an
much.
indictment. It's not an indictment per se on men because they do naturally their expectations. No, I mean
Is it
reality.
is it not an indictment on
I
men,
don't think
Doc?
so. I'll tell you why, Kim.
Mm-hmm.
Because the relationship existed before the pregnancy. And a lot of the expectations were based on what was a previous norm. Okay? So this was established as our norm. We normally go Kentucky on a Thursday. We normally go something on a Saturday. And this is our norm. Okay? And then all of a sudden, things change, right? And what happens in men's mind, because the fact that they don't have the benefit of certain kind of education, is that okay, she pregnant. I understand, say, boy, I may have to tough it out, I may have to make some adjustment for the pregnancy. But now, in his
Don't know.
mind, he's planning. No, I have to understand it. If you ever try running a long distance race, or you ever run for, been doing anything, and you think, okay, I forget to hear so. I have to get to here. This is where I'm supposed to go. You prepare yourself to sustain to get there, And then when they go there, you find out, oh, under this way is a longer distance. It's about
They
them,
don't
their
understand how
egocentricity.
important. They don't
Yeah,
understand.
egocentricity.
Yeah.
So we're going to edit that part. We're going to edit that into the podcast, not all of it, part of it. So we can have to make the point. um, but what I was saying now, in terms of the sexual interaction part of it. So a lot of times the man now make up in his mind, say, yeah, man, I go support her, she need the support for 9 months. He's thinking 9 months. He's not thinking a year and a half. He's thinking 9 months, because 9 months is how long a pregnancy lasts. And then at the end of the 9 months, he's saying, who is this woman? Because the woman who he is with now, her behavior, expectations, is different from the one who he was with before. Before she was freaky, she want to have
Yeah.
sex 5 times a week. Worse because she was trying to get
All
pregnant. Because man realize it, when a woman want to get
that's a,
pregnant,
that's
it's
a
not
good point.
because you're so sexy and you look so good why she want it. She have an agenda. So she's coming at you hard and him feels, and then all of a sudden now she not interested in her until 2 months, 3 months pass. And this is what men talk about, because I mean we have these conversations, they talk to the men, they say, but no, it's like a different literally. Our husband reached out to me the other day, and cool guy, young guy, wife is beautiful. She had her baby the other day, took care of them during the pregnancy, she had the baby. And he reaches out to me and him said, Doc, I needed to see so and so because he's like, since you have the baby, she's a different person. And I'm like, oh, and could she have been postpartum depression or something? I said, no, sometimes adjustment thing. And so I said, okay, fine. Let me talk. So I reach out to her and say, okay, just to kind of feel out what's going on. Because I can't tell her that her husband is talking to me to
Yeah.
tell me to talk
Right.
to her because then,
Mm-hmm.
you start talking about breach of confidentiality and so forth. So I said to her, oh, how is everything going on? And I'm talking to her, kind of essentially screening her for postpartum depression. And she said she's fine. She's okay. She's kind of adapting to the other baby. She's keeping her up at night and so forth. But for him, he's a different person and he can't understand. And the truth is, she is a different person, in fairness, because for the last,
A
before,
mother
she,
identity.
no, but
New
one is that she has a new identity. Two is that before she has an objective. She was
mm,
motivated by a goal. She has now achieved that goal. And nobody, has told the man what was really going on in her head. Women, and not most men don't understand these things. Nobody told him that this was what was happening. And so now, to him, it's like he's just in a bad movie. So it's like, he might try to touch her, she don't want him to touch her. What happened? She had roll over. And yes, we always talk about all the pressures of postpartum care and having a new baby, but some of it is not just that, Kim. Some of it is just like, listen. So she had a different plan. Now she has that. She's not really too interested in that because for her, the sex had a goal attached to it. So that's one. And
the
I allow
much
you to
door.
comment. I'm going to allow you to comment on all this because I know what I'm giving you is truth and light. So I'm going to give you a chance to comment on it. So the second thing, and I'm going to give you a chance to comment on them in order. The second thing is her body. And I've heard women say this to me. She said, Doc, he may find me attractive and want to have sex. I don't find myself attractive. I literally feel disgusted by how I look. So, and I never thought to myself, that was, and I remember the first patient who told me that, and I stopped, and she said it, it was so profound and revealing for me that I had to stop and just in awe, because I didn't realize how much of sex was related to how you felt about yourself.
Exactly. It
Because
is.
for me, I was thinking, okay, it's how you feel about the other person. So the
Mm-mm.
other person looks sexy to you, they feel, no, how does she feel when the light is on and they're having sex? And, she looks at her body and what it used to be and whatever. She says, Doc, I feel literally repulsed by my body, so I'm not interested. I'll give you a chance to respond to those two things.
I want to respond to the second one first because you see what men don't understand is that, again, with how they're brought up, don't care about their appearance like women in most cases. And not only that, but if a man is, like, in terms of looks, if a man is a five, right? If everybody's supposed to vote and they vote him as a five, a man would probably rate himself as a eight. While a woman who is a five, she will probably rate herself as like a three.
Oh,
It's
that's cool.
just
That's
how we
interesting.
are as women. So
Mm.
if you look at like women, like with the Rihanna concert, what I was so proud of Rihanna is that Rihanna could go on stage, sing her songs, don't bring on no guest artists, just be herself, be Rihanna, and show up as enough. That's unusual for women. When women
Mm.
doing any performance, they have to bring on guests. They have to do wardrobe change. They have to do like 10 different choreography in the ear spin round, all kind of thing. When a man is a performer and him go on him in a one suit, him have the mic, he probably stand up the one place the whole time. Duh. And the best thing, him shell down the show, in his opinion.
Remember the
Women are
songs that
like
used to
that.
bury someone classic, right? Make you rock away.
And him just sit
Yeah.
down with a
You
mic
just
and
sit
him
down with a
shell
mic, a
down.
little hard pan him catch one side, and that's it. Right.
While a woman a boom flick, split,
Yeah.
everything. Everything.
Skin pupalik.
Everything. And they feel like if they don't do this, they're not. So when a woman is having sex now, a man might say, yeah, like you literally have on your t-shirt and your husband won't leave you alone. You not
Mm.
understand. Like you look your
Yeah,
worth. And him just in your skin like ticks. Right?
yeah.
But you don't feel like, yeah, I'm not looking my best now. At least I'm gonna, freshen up and put on kind of for them head. But the thing anyways that you interested in your clothes, like that's men.
Right.
But women know it's important to us to feel sexy. And I remember after having my daughter, oh gosh, I tell you, like a slim as my whole life, like a cute slim thing, belly flat like bummy, one complexion from head to
Mommy.
toe.
Oh.
No, I don't know what's that thing on the tummy. Why it look
Fried
like the baby
dumpling, like a
still in the
fried
belly?
Johnny
It look
Cakes.
like the doctor leave one baby in there. It still look like why it still looks
Something
so.
is still inside me, that I think.
Something is still in there. The belly black. It wailing. And why would any man find this attractive? That's the only
Mm.
thing you're thinking. Like, why would any man find this attractive?
Right.
You just don't
Yeah.
feel sexy. And I remember Rosemary Bordeaux was talking to us the other day. For women, it's important for us to feel attractive. We are designed that way. It is important for humanity to continue. Women
Yeah.
have to feel like they're sexy. And men don't understand this. So a lot of times women don't understand it either because they project that feeling onto men. They're like,
Right.
I don't find myself sexy, so my man don't find me sexy. When the truth is,
Mm-hmm.
him couldn't even care less. Him
Yeah.
understand what your body goes through more than you think. And
Right.
he's not complaining about it. You're the one complaining about it. And you're the one projecting that emotion on him. And
Right.
sometimes they hear it enough till them annoyed and them truly probably start feeling that way they
Believe
know
it.
because
Believe it. Yeah. Yeah.
you won't stop saying it. You've been saying it so much that they start acting on it. And it's a process. It's a process and probably something that requires a lot of communication. It requires communication. And you have to understand as men too that your body didn't change with this pregnancy. You
Mm-hmm.
are still you. For the woman, one, mentally she's battling with who she is now. Physically, she cannot recognize herself. Especially women who gain a lot more weight, they cannot recognize themselves. And they have to
Mm.
deal with that too. and also deal with the fact that women will look a certain way to catch the man. So that
Mm.
change. So now we have to wonder if the man are still want we. And then you don't know how the vagina feel. That's a whole other thing, you
Mm.
know. Cause now in a year ahead, you say, boy, if that big head Britney just come true, how does it feel down there? That's a
Right.
concern. You have no idea what, so you have anxiety about that. Case in point, this last week was Valentine's Day. So one of my mothers, I saw her the next day, I saw her the Wednesday. And she was like, I decided that I wanted to dress up for my husband. She just had a baby. So she wanted to dress up for her husband and she realized that her lingerie couldn't fit. And she said she finally decided to listen to me and get bigger size lingerie. I'm like, just get bigger lingerie if the ones that you have can't fit. It's okay. And she's like, no, she can't do that because that means you're going to be stuck in this big size. I'm like, not necessarily. You might get small again and get some new one again. It's like clothes.
Right.
You buy, you wear a size 8. You're not going to buy a size 5 shoes.
Right.
You're okay with it. You accept the fact that you have a size 8 foot and you buy it. But
Right.
why would clothes it different? Why you want to squeeze yourself into a smaller clothes? So, anyways, she got it and she said that there was just so much pressure surrounding it for her. Like she felt extremely tense. And she couldn't understand that this my husband. We've been together for 15 years. This is my third child. And I was nervous having sex with my
Mm.
husband. So men take it for granted that, oh, she know me love her. Why she wouldn't just, but it's not like that. You know how emotionally taxing it is to accept that you have to buy a larger size lingerie. You have to go
Mm.
buy from the curvy, or you have the plus size lingerie, and you always a small or a medium. That's a lot
Mm.
to accept.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting you say that. But I don't even want to comment on that yet because I know you say you're going to comment on the first point I made. So let me just kind of allow you to finish before I interrupt.
Yeah, I forgot to remember the first point because no, I talk so much.
Well, I think you kind of started to touch on the fact that, the fact that there is a switch in terms of the woman's motives
Right.
for
Okay. So
sex. Right?
motive. Yes, that is true. Meaning that before you're having sex with purpose. There's a purposeful sex. But more in most cases, that's not what I get from women that I
Mhm.
experience. It's not that, oh, we were trying so hard to have the child. That's why we're doing it before. Most times, it's how they feel about their bodies. In most instances, the one that, well, I guess the one, I can be biased because the women that I see, they usually have issues surrounding sex. So that's the reason why I'm hearing this. I never thought about that before because most women that I interact with and myself, you're attracted to your partner. You want to have sex with them. You enjoy having sex with them. But, after pregnancy, I can see myself not wanting to, based on previous experience, not wanting to do it, especially with the pressure of the 6 weeks. Like you're so annoyed. Like you're like, why would the doctor even do this to me? Why would he set me up like this? Like,
I didn't realize how many enemies I was creating among my patients.
you're
And
creating enemies because the men them up to 6 weeks because them just want to hear that. And that's all they come
doctor,
for. So
doctor
that's
say, the doctor say you're good. You
saying you're
can go on.
ready. And you just like, and then it's like they might also have issues with the men and their role in the whole care of the child.
Yeah,
So the
yeah, yeah,
man might
yeah.
be at home not even helping out. And I'm like
Right,
dead tired.
right.
Smell of breast milk. That's another turn off to, the smell of the breast milk. And if your breast was always a part of sex that you enjoy, and no, it's no, you're a human feeding machine.
Yeah.
And
You can't, it's funny that you said that, you see, because of the fact that the breast for men and women is such an important part of sexual intimacy. Okay?
exactly.
But once you start breastfeeding, you begin to see the breast in a different light. So before,
Exactly.
you saw the breast as a part of a sexual organ, erogenous zone. Now you're breastfeeding. It's hard for you to see. I imagine
It
that
is
somebody
it's
sucking on a breast is not as pleasurable as it would have been before because now
it's
you had a
not.
baby
And
sucking
you're
on a
like,
breast.
and it's baby food now. I feel like during that time, the breast is not sexy at all. Like you're actually disgusted by the fact. So it has a raw smell. Like you're
Right.
just not sexy. It's
Yeah.
not sexy. And then dribble. Nobody that you know and the best with the family.
It's dripping.
Not no sexy about that. And then you're wait and you're listen out if the baby wake up. Like
Yeah, yeah.
not no sexy about it.
It's it's complex. And
And men can have sex through all of that, For
yeah,
already before pregnancy, we already have a hard time turning off our brains. Now
yeah,
imagine now we just really are wait for you for done. Like I said, all
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. How soon can you finish so I can get back to being a mother?
I wonder if now I can practice my kegels, finish this up quick, quick, quick.
And it's unfortunate though, Kim, because what I find is that men find women's mental engagement in sex probably the most attractive portion or sensual part of their experience. So, like, if a woman is into it, even if she's not really into it, but she's responding, that's why, many women learn how to perform because men find it attractive. Something
Yeah.
as simple as the noise she make, groaning, moaning, whatever, how it felt that she's responding to what he's doing turns him on even more than just the act of intercourse. So when
Mm-hmm.
a woman is not engaged and her mind is clearly elsewhere, she's looking off to the side when he's in
Yeah.
front of her, it can be a turnoff for
Mm-hmm.
men too. And they realize that you're just not there. And I see that now becomes a major strain on relationships. Because
Mm-hmm.
now you have lots of sexual intimacy. Two, both of you are tired and exhausted. Three, you're financially strained.
Mm-hmm.
Four, you both feel like the attention is drawn away from it, overall, because mommy is focusing on baby, daddy is focusing on baby, daddy is focusing, both of you at the
On
same time
making
focusing
money.
on making money. So you can see how relationships suffer because of a child, and for whatever reason, it's so important for persons to understand, think that we think on these things before we begin to go down and make sure that the layers are there.
Sometimes it's very painful.
We'll get
Sometimes
into that part,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Pain,
And the
yeah,
women just that and that's sometimes not even painful. Sometimes you just don't feel like what it felt before.
yeah.
Things move,
Sensations are
the
different,
sensations change, it just doesn't feel as good as it does before.
yeah.
And now we have to explore and communicate, but you don't have no time to think about that because you think about the breast where the milk will leak out of the breast, the belly where tickle. See that you don't have time to say, babe, maybe we should try this different position. You're just like, all right, that's all come off for me.
Yeah, wow, that's crazy. Well, we kind of have to think about, how it is that. So one is preparation is one, but how do you kind of overcome these things? And I think a big part of overcoming any problem is understanding the problem.
Understanding the problem. And knowing
Understanding that.
once you find out what the problem is, knowing where to get help.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, because even before we start talking about getting help, if I don't understand where you're coming from or why you're doing what you're doing, then I become less tolerant of what you're doing because I can interpret your suffering as an intent to injure. All right. So what I mean by that is
I
you're
got it.
really you got it. Yeah. I feel like why they spite me or what me not like, she don't love me
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. You never they want me in the first place. I just baby they want. I know you're a baby and you're not
I've
interested
heard that
anymore.
too. I've heard men say that all she wanted me for was to have a baby. And I've heard men like completely disregard. One time, I'll share the story. One time I had a father on my life, giving
Mm.
his experience as a father, new father, and just sharing what men go through as it relates to becoming a new dad. And, he was on the live and everybody was enjoying him talking and whatever. After the live done, the mother messaged me and she's completely different story now. She's just like, you see, that's the thing. People listen to him because he's vibrant and he can talk and he have a way with words and people hear him, but that was not the experience. That's not what I went through.
Mm.
She had a completely different view. And I was just like, whoa. I was
Mm-hmm.
just like, whoa, because he was saying that, him respect women more because he had to shave her and he did this and how, he was like think he's a world greatest man at this
Yeah.
point, and then he's like, oh, and at the end, them never work out, she leave him and whatever. And, and all she wanted was a baby and whatever. And she's just like, no, this was supposed to be a relationship. This was supposed to be madam, father, my child. We're supposed to go through this forever. And she said that, because he was sharing that she always wanted a child and she could never get pregnant before, how much pregnant she lost, and how he was very attentive because of this. So, you feel like he tugged by your heartstrings. But when she's like, that's not what happened. He was barely there. Him just show up, spend 2 seconds, play with the baby. Everything was on me. I was stressed. I had a lot to deal with. The delivery was bad. The recovery was bad. And he left me to do all of it by myself. And, it was just a completely different story. So the truth is, sometimes because men don't know all that they go through, they're thinking that what they're doing is enough when it's
Mm.
far from enough. And as I
Wow. So
said, remember, for men, remember what I said about men, they give themselves 8 when them truly are 5.
that's
And
interesting that you said that because you're not saying that he was lying or necessarily being dishonest or disingenuous. Totally.
was
That he
exaggerating,
probably thought much
not even
more of what he
intentional.
was, but what
Right.
that he was doing. So in his mind, he was doing very well. When in
He was a
reality of
perfect,
it, he
perfect.
wasn't giving as much support as he really thought he was giving. Okay, that's interesting.
I
All
remember I
right.
started saying men think there are 8 when they're truly a 5. And
Mm.
it's straight across the board.
So let me ask you the question now, a very practical question, because we have identified the problems. What's the solution? So we have identified education as part of the process. But even with you educating, I'm a man, and I'm saying, okay, I'm accustomed to us having sexual intimacy very often, and enjoyed sex. You get pregnant. I understood that during pregnancy things will happen. Doctor going to say, boy, no sex because placenta low, this, that.
Yeah.
Uh,
But you were asking a question about what you could do as a man. And the truth is showing that you care. And not just showing that you care instead of, like if the gentleman reached out to you, he was
mm-hmm,
reaching out to you because he wants sex. But actually showing that you care about me and the process. So
mm-hmm,
if you know that seeing a pelvic floor therapist after can make a woman feel better about her body, and you say, babe, I heard that this can help you, and it really feels like it is me that you care about and not your needs. Those things can help, like
mm-hmm.
learning about the process, like placing interest in getting the information and learning about the process will make the woman feel like, them actually care about me. Because remember where the problem started, we're talking about the psychological aspect, is that all the attention shifted from you to the
Mm-hmm.
baby. So if
Right.
the man can now come and use that same ego that we talk about tapping into and help the woman to feel like, hey, it is you that I'm caring about, your well being that I'm caring about, that will in turn go back to submitting. Because now the
Right.
man showing that him love you and him care about you. So now it's easier to give in to what he wants. But when it feel like he's just caring about himself and his own needs, that gonna be a turn off because you already feel like you have to sacrifice everything else for everybody. So it's easy for
Yeah.
that to be a turn off. So it's just showing genuine care and just being genuine about, appreciating what this woman just went through. Like, I just feel like women feel like men don't truly appreciate what the sacrifice that they make when they become pregnant and when they deliver a baby. I don't think they understand it. And when a woman can feel like, oh my gosh, my husband actually understand what I'm going through. He's actually patient. He's actually interested in me getting rest, taking the baby off, making sure I can get some rest. Like actually showing that type of care. You wake up and him say, no, babe, baby, pump some milk so that when the baby wake up, I can be the one to get up this time. Those things over time, you're like, oh my gosh, you're more rested, you're more likely to want to have sex. So you're not tired, you're not
Mm-hmm.
miserable. You get to have a shower without rushing out. You know what that feels like when you just have a baby? To actually spend some
no,
time in the shower.
a great appreciation for the simple things in life, right?
Listen, you're there to pee and you don't have to worry about the baby. Like you don't have to do it
Yeah.
quick. That's why end up with pelvic floor problem, because they go in the bathroom pushing out the pee to hurry it along to run back to the
Mm-mm.
baby.
So you're basically talking about empathizing and
And we
supporting
have to ask for it.
and being a part of the process. So we're not, and I think the key thing is without the intention of just doing it to get a reward, but doing
Right.
it because it's the right thing. So you're not doing it because you say, okay, I want to get a piece tonight, so maybe just be nice. But doing it because you really love and support the person and you want to be a part of the process. I think that's what you're saying, which is important. And I think from the men's perspective, I think it's the same thing. I think, the truth is, Kim, life is a lot simpler than we really think it is. The Bible always says, do unto others as you have them do unto you.
That's
The reality of it is that it's really the same thing because for women, sometimes, you're going through this process and you also have to realize that the man also has needs,
it's going through a process.
because he has sometimes women don't understand the intensity of sexual energy and desire for men. It builds up. And when a man needs that gratification, it also affects his psychology. We don't get into that part of it, about men and their psychology. It also affects their psychology. It affects their ability to be patient, their ability to make sound judgment and good decisions. All of those things are also affected when a man isn't getting sexual satisfaction.
That's a hard buy for me, because to me it feels like it comes down to self control. So, like, if your wife is going through something, I mean to tell me that biology does not allow you to put your sexual needs to the side to be there for your wife.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that, and I think it's important for women to understand what the role that sex plays for men. It is not that men are saying, I'm saying that a man should not be able to control himself, meaning that, okay, because a woman is not giving me, I will go outside. No, I don't think, I'm not necessarily agreeing with that. What
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying is that sexual satisfaction also is important to make sure that your man is the best man he can be too. If just like how if something is affecting you psychologically, it's going to affect your ability to be the best wife. If something is affecting him, it's going to affect your ability to be the best husband. So I think, for example, sometimes that middle ground is important. It's like, I have conversation with patients, and let's give the classic example where a guy like obstetrician would tell her during pregnancy not to have sex as if placenta is low or something, placenta previa. Don't have sex. But then I'm saying, well, remember, no, there's more than one way to satisfy a person
Your
sexually
husband. Yeah.
than intercourse. So you guys know this is where now you have to get creative. What is going to be do? What communication you're going to have, babe? What can I do to help you? And I think men appreciate that.
That
I
is
think men
true.
appreciate that. And when I'm motivated, it's like, remember I told you in the start of the conversation when we were talking about the fact that women don't understand how much power they have over what men do. Sometimes a
Mm-hmm.
compliment is enough. So if a man almost kill himself just because you're telling me, oh, he's strong, he's so muscular and whatever. She's there
We will
lifting
lift
up
up
things when
15 back.
15 bags, right? So it's the same thing, when a man realize, okay, yeah, she can't really have intercourse, but she trying, she trying to find a way to please me and so forth. It gives a sense of satisfaction to him that, okay, I'm appreciated, my feelings are valued in all of this, and and helps him. If he was a 50%, I say out of 10, 5. If he was a 5, it can bump him up to a 6 or a 7. You
True.
see? So I think where relationships work, and this goes for anything in life, is where each person serves the interest of the other. Where our
Mm-hmm.
mentality is, okay, how can I help you to be a happier, better person? And the other one is saying, how can I help you to be a better, happier person? And then you find that when we come together, we are both better, happier, healthier people.
Understood, Doc. I completely understand. I'm taking nothing away from what you're saying. But I want to also allow men to understand that maybe at this time in women, because for me, I'm just talking from personal experience, it felt for me like I was always there for my daughter's father. So I was always there for him through everything that he has gone through, always there being the good supportive partner. But at one time in life you need him to step up and be more, and they couldn't handle it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's at that time I feel like women need men to actually lead and be men. and
Yeah,
understand for once that it's about somebody else other than their own ego and their own feelings for that one time
yeah.
in life.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think it's not just one time, it's a part of the process of being a man and being responsible. That's really where we should
Oh,
be. What I would say to you though, and so as we wrap it up now, what I would say is this. Remember now that for relationships, one person may have failed in that regard.
mhm.
It doesn't mean everyone is the same. You
True,
see? And what we have to be careful of is judging our future based on our past. You know,
true.
so I think I'll
I
leave you
feel
with that.
bad to that. No, don't die. You know, I'm
I'll
noticing
leave you with that.
last week, that I noticed it from last week, but they're not going to say
What
nothing.
have I been doing? I don't know.
Yeah, innuendo, I'm catching you. Just know that I notice you. That's what you need to do.
All right. I don't know if I'm guilty, but it doesn't matter, right? It's whether you're whether you're guilty or not is not important. It's what the jury concludes, right? All right. I think that's a good one.